You're 19. You live in a town in Ohio where the biggest landmark is a water tower and the most common career path is the local assembly plant. Your father spent 30 years there. He has the pension, the bad knees, and a house that smells like damp wood and regret. You don't want the plant. You want the lights. You've been watching the product since you were 5. Sitting on the floor so close to the TV, your mother warned you your eyes would turn square. To her, it's a soap opera with body slacks. To you, it's the only way out of a zip code that feels like a slow-motion funeral. You find a wrestling school in an old warehouse behind a strip mall. The sign says pro training, but the interior says health hazard. The air is thick with the smell of stale sweat, wintergreen rub, and old canvas. There are 15 other guys there. Some are big, some are fast, all of them are broke. The head trainer is a guy named Iron Mike. He's 50, moves like a rusted gate, and has a scar over his left eye that looks like a question mark. He doesn't ask for your resume. He asks for $500 cash and whether you're willing to bleed for a crowd of 12 people. You pay him. The first 3 months, you don't even touch a rope. You take bumps, flat back bumps, face first bumps, over and over until your internal organs feel like they've been put through a blender. The ring isn't a cloud. It's a wooden deck covered in a thin layer of foam and a prayer. Every time you hit it, it's a car accident at 20 miles per hour. Your back is a map of bruises that turn from purple to yellow to a sickly green. Your mother sees them when you come home for dinner. She doesn't cry. She just asks if the assembly plant is still hiring. You don't answer. You start on the indie circuit. You drive 10 hours in a Honda Civic with 3 other guys who smell like gym bags to work in a high school gymnasium in front of 40 people. You get paid $50 and a lukewarm hot dog. The math of the indies doesn't work. You spend $100 on gas and $20 on tape for your wrists. You're losing money to chase a ghost, but when the music hits, even if it's playing through a blown-out karaoke speaker and those 40 people boo you, you feel like a god. You learn the code. Never miss a spot. Never complain about the finish. Respect the veterans, even the ones who can't walk straight. If a senior guy tells you to go get him a water, you run. You're furniture with a pulse. You're an asset in training, and assets don't have opinions. You're 24 when the black suit shows up. He's a talent scout for the big league. He watches your match in a VFW hall, then meets you by your car. He doesn't offer a contract. He offers a tryout at the Performance Center in Orlando, the PC. He tells you they like your look, but they need to see if you have the engine. The PC is a factory. It's clean, it's professional, and it's a meat grinder. You're there with 50 other prospects, former NFL players, Olympic lifters, and guys like you who did the hard miles. You train 10 hours a day. You do promo class where they tell you that you aren't enough. You need a character, a gimmick. They decide you're no longer a kid from Ohio, you're the enforcer. They give you a leather jacket, a theme song that sounds like a heartbeat, and a set of catchphrases that feel like cardboard in your mouth. You memorize them because the alternative is going back to the Honda Civic. 6 months in, you get the nod for the developmental brand, NXT. The crowd is small but intense. You're on TV for the first time. Your mother watches. She calls you after. She says you looked handsome, but she didn't like the part where the other man hit you with a chair. You tell her it's just business. You don't tell her that your neck clicked on that chair shot and hasn't stopped since. The promotion to the main roster happens on a Tuesday, a phone call at 2 a.m. You're on the plane to New York tomorrow. You're debuting on the big show. Walking into that arena is like walking into a sovereign state. There are 20,000 people in the seats, pyrotechnics that singe your eyebrows, a locker room that feels like a boardroom in some places and a war room in others. The hierarchy is strict. You don't sit in the veteran seats. You don't speak unless spoken to. You find the top guy, the one who's on the posters, and you shake his hand. You're an entry on his balance sheet now. Your first year is a blur of airports and hotel rooms that all look the same. You work 300 days a year. You wake up in a Marriott in Des Moines, hit the gym, drive 3 hours to the arena, work 10 minutes in the ring, sign autographs for 2 hours, and drive 4 hours to the next town. You eat egg whites in diners at midnight. You live on caffeine and vitamin I, ibuprofen. Your body is no longer yours. It belongs to the machine. You win your first title, a mid-card belt. It's 10 pounds of gold and leather, and when they strap it around your waist, you think you've made it. You call home. You tell your father. He asks how much the bonus is. You realize then that in this life, respect is just math you haven't solved yet. By 30, you're in the main event. You're the one on the posters. You have your own bus. You don't have to drive the rentals anymore. You sit in the back and watch the young guys do the heavy lifting, just like the veterans did to you. You're at the top of the food chain, but the air is thin. You're an asset. You have a security detail. You have a manager. You have a lawyer who handles your likeness rights. You meet with corporate sponsors who call you the product. You go to charity events where you smile and hug kids, and for 30 minutes, you can pretend the blood money, the bumps and the concussions is doing some good. But deep down, you're just laundering your conscience one autograph at a time. The physical toll is a silent debt. Your knees are shot. Your lower back is a disaster. You've had 3 surgeries on your left shoulder. You have ringing in your ears that sounds like a distant crowd that won't go home. You take a bump in London and your vision goes gray for 5 seconds. You don't tell the trainer. You don't tell the office. If you're not operational, you're a liability, and liabilities get resolved. You try to have normal things. A wife. She's a model or a trainer you met on the road. She knows the life. She knows that normal is just the costume you wear between the airport and the arena. You have an apartment with a view of the city, but you're only there 4 days a month. You check your stats, the social media engagement, the merchandise sales, every morning before you check your pulse. You're obsessed with the math, because if the numbers drop, the machine finds a newer model. The creative meeting happens on a Thursday. You've been at the top for 5 years. You're 35. You walk into the room with the writers, guys in their 20s with iPads who have never taken a bump in their lives. They don't look you in the eye. They tell you they have nothing for you right now. They want to use you to put over the new kid, the 22-year-old from the PC who has a better engine and doesn't have 43 stitches in his forehead. You do it. You're a professional. You lose the title to the kid in the middle of the ring. You shake his hand. You see the look in his eyes, the same hunger you had. You want to warn him. You want to tell him that the belt is a life sentence, but he won't listen. You didn't listen either. The release comes during a budget cut, a phone call from a 203 area code. A voice you've known for a decade tells you that the organization is going in a different direction. They wish you the best in your future endeavors. Just like that, the access is gone. Your face is removed from the website. Your merchandise goes to the clearance bin. You're 38, your body's a wreck, and the only thing you're qualified to do is pretend to fight in your underwear. You're 42 now. You live in a house in Florida you bought when the checks were fat. It's too big and too quiet. You spend your days at the fan conventions. You sit at a folding table in a high school gym, the same kind you started in, and you sell 8x10 photos for $20. The line is shorter every year. The fans tell you about their favorite match from 10 years ago. They see the enforcer. You see a man who can't pick up his groceries without his back spasming. You're an exile. In the business, being retired is just a slow way of being forgotten. You watch the product on TV. You see the kid you put over. He's the top guy now. He's doing the talk shows. He's the face of the machine. You see him take a chair shot, and you see his eyes go flat for a second. You know that look. That's the hook. That's the trap. You go to the grocery store. You're wearing a hat low and a collar up. You see a kid, maybe 14, in the cereal aisle. He's wearing a t-shirt with your face on it. Old merchandise. He doesn't recognize you. He sees a middle-aged man with a limp and ink peeking out from his sleeves. He doesn't see a god. He sees a ghost. You see him on a Tuesday. A kid at the local gym, maybe 19. He's doing squats, looking at himself in the mirror with that specific hunger. You know that walk. You know that dream. You could cross the gym. You could tell him that the lights are a lie. You could tell him that the machine doesn't run on loyalty. It runs on winter and loneliness. You could tell him that he's trading his knees and his brain for a one-room apartment and a body covered in stories nobody wants to read. But you don't, because you know he won't listen. You didn't listen either. The product needs the hunger. The machine needs the meat. You walk to your car, your joints clicking in the humid Florida air. You drive home in silence. You realize the stars on their shoulders, the titles, the fame, took years to earn, but they'll take the rest of your life to carry. That's a wrap for today. The story you just heard is fiction, but the WWE is real. The grind is real. And somewhere right now, a 19-year-old kid is taking his first bump in a warehouse while a black sedan idles across the street. If this one made you think, drop a comment. Subscribe for more. See you in the next one.